Hi, I'm Kelly Theophil, and this is Live a Life You Love, the podcast, and I am your emotional intelligence coach. And the main goal of this podcast is to teach you to go from simply surviving to thriving by teaching you how to manage your emotions and using that to create momentum in your life. We want to continue this conversation of resolutions. We ended by talking about the fact that resolutions fail because, be honest, we're not all very good at resolutions, but we're doing better for this year. And so we want to continue this conversation about resolutions because I want to make sure that you end this year empowered and feeling proud of yourself because you've done the things that you said you were setting out to do. So we talked about the keys of successful resolutions last time. Today we want to talk about the dynamics of resolutions. Now, I understand that everybody wants to lose weight. It, it's a given. It's a given. But I want you to think about your resolution as more than just a very surface, a very basic thing. One of the issues that I see popping up is that people are not very holistic when they are planning for resolutions. What do I mean by that? They usually create a checklist of things that they want to do, but never who they want to be. And for me, when you're creating a resolution, you should always start with who you want to be and then work upward. Because who you are is going to determine how you end the year. I will tell you that your character will always be what drives the goals that you come up with, what drives your consistency. So today I want to talk about creating a holistic view of what you should plan for in 2024. You want to lose weight? Yes, but who do you want to be? Who's the new you want to pull out of yourself? What more in your life needs you to do some work on apart from just losing weight or upskilling in your professional area? And so we want to talk about just three very simple areas that I want you to actually plan for this year. And I'm going to start with the obvious and the first one, which is your personal growth. Now, when I talk about personal growth, I think sometimes we don't plan for our character. Now, this is what I want you to do. Really sit down and think about who you were in 2024. Did you battle fear in 2024? Did you battle having a bad attitude? Now, only you could do this introspection. Of course, you could ask people and they might tell you, but they might tell you in a way you don't like, so don't do that. But you can have that conversation, but really think about the things in 2023 that you were not. And now ask yourself, at the end of 2024, who do I want to be? What are some character building things that you need to set out to do? So, for example, if you're somebody who you know in 2023 you struggled to take risks, but it was something that would have created momentum in your life, then that's something I want you to consider adding to your character. So, in terms of personal development, the first thing I want you to consider, of course, is who do you want to grow into? Because let me tell you, it is crucial and it is also very possible to work on your character. You ever listen to an old person and say, well, I just the way I am? And some young people, that's not true. Your personality is not stagnant, nor is it concrete. You can work on being a different person, authentically work on being a different person, because of course I don't want you to be fake. So you can see parts of yourself and decide, you know what, I need to work on this. That hot mouth that you have, you could work on it. The ability sometimes to just shut down because you might be scared, you can work on it. So I want you to feel empowered to understand that you can develop and set a goal to be a better person, to develop your character in 2024. Underneath that personal development, I want you to actually create goals for your mental and emotional health. As an emotional intelligence coach, of course, it's natural that I run into people who are struggling with their emotional health. People are fighting up to fully express how they feel, or are fighting up to see just how deeply their emotions affect their decisions. So if you do not pay attention to emotional, your mental health, it can actually shoot you in the leg going forward. And I don't want that to be your story that, listen, I was in such a heavy space that I couldn't create momentum in your life. Now, it doesn't mean that you are not going through difficult things. What I am saying to you is that if you're going through difficult times, there is spaces that can help you. There are spaces that can help you. There are people like myself who can actually help you get better with your emotions. So questions that you need to ask yourself is, how do I usually express my emotions? What do I mean by that? You have a wide range of people. You have the person who will get loud. You didn't have to carry on, so, and your anger is fully expressed. You have that type of person who will emote like that. Then you have the person who they'll experience something heavy and it's like, ha, Not a big deal. You have those. And then you have those who will be very diplomatic with their expression. Well, I kind of didn't want to have to tell you like this. And so you see, there's a different way that people will emote. You have to know which way you do and decide what would a better way of expression be for you. So what it is, you need to tone your volume down, or you maybe need to be firmer in your conversation. You need to set a goal for your emotional and your mental health. That's on the emotional side. On the mental health side, you have to know what type of thinker you are. That's something, a homework that I give to my clients often. What type of thinker are you? Are you naturally pessimistic? Are you naturally optimistic? How are you expressing your thoughts, and what way are you most likely to think? So you need to make goals for what type of thinker. If this is how you will, who do I want to be in 2024? I want to be more optimistic. I don't want to see everything and be like, well, it's pressure from here on out. It had nothing I could do. Versus becoming a person that said, listen, I see what is happening. Maybe I can get help to make this better. And so I want you to really make some goals for your mental and your emotional health. You know the areas that may be weaknesses, that may be struggles, that could use a tweak. Create a resolution for your mental health. Now, along with mental health is prioritizing your rest. Millennials, come here. We have a problem with prioritizing rest. Some of us work too hard and do not realize that if your body does not get a chance to stop, it will crash. And so we have to prioritize the ability to stop and exhale. I understand that we are in this weird age bracket where we feel as though we have to give it all that we have right now. And we do, but there is a space where you need to rest. And rest could be something simple. I'm not saying to take a whole month off, but simply sometimes finding 30 minutes in your day to sit outside and catch your breath is rest. Sometimes taking a call and saying, listen, I can't do this right now. Could you check me in a week? Is rest. So my question is, what does peace look like to you? And how can you create that in little moments in your day? Because that is part of taking care of your mental and emotional health. Prioritizing your rest. Don't ever underscore the importance of planning for your rest. You can't afford a vacation? Go Pennywise, buy a little suck thing for your hand, a little massage thing for your hand, or go to Parmesan by Kel and she could hook you up. And you can find little simple ways to create rest in your life. So this is personal development. This is what I want you to take some time first and plan for in your new year. So your most important resolution is going to be how you plan for yourself in this new year. And now we want to talk about the second side of it. Now that you have yourself covered, let's talk about the people in our lives. Listen, as an emotional intelligence coach, people come to me the most about people problem. And I get it. Dealing with people could sometimes be a lot. And I'm saying it very nicely. But do you know that the same way there's something called emotional intelligence, there's something called relational intelligence. And I do think that if you are able to get a handle on some of your relationships, you will be surprised of how your life itself turns around. Because your relationships determine sometimes the things that you do. Your relationships determine sometimes the momentum you create in your life, the opportunities that you go for, which means that your relationships are important. So how do you create resolutions for your relationships? Well, one, I want you to point out those relationships that actually need work. Now, how would you know relationships that need work? There's always this kind of weird tension in that relationship. So every time I have a conversation with you, we fall out, or there's always a misunderstanding. That's a relationship that might need work, or a relationship where the lines of communication are closed and not open enough. So how you doing? I normal. Now, you see the word, that word normal, but that's a conversation for another time. But we have this thing where we think that the only time a relationship is bad is when there's argument. But what about the flip side where there's not enough conversation and communication going on? You need to decide what you want it to look like and put a resolution in place to get that going. The second thing I want you to think about in your relationships is, what is a meaningful connection I can make in 2024. This is a very important resolution to make. There are different spheres of your life that need connections. So do I need a professional connection? Do I need a social connection? Do I need an intimate connection? Because some of y'all want spouses this year, and nothing wrong with that. So what is a meaningful connection that I want to make this year, and how do I go about it? For example, do not tell me you want a little mister, but all you're doing is staying home. No love, but we'll talk about that in February. My point is this: if you want to make a meaningful connection, you are going to now have to actually show up in the places that will give you the connections. So the resolution that you have to plan is, where do I need to be in order to make these meaningful connections? And then begin to do your research. Do I go to more networking events? Do I go take a course? What is it that is going to bring me before the people who can open doors or even help or become a spouse? As simple as that. So the first thing is, who do I need to work on? And that second part is, what new connection do I need to make with your relationships? We're keeping it very simple. Then the last area, we talked about personal, we talked about relation. Now I want to talk to you about your professional. Now when I mean professional, I don't just mean career wise. I also mean your skill and your talent. Now, as somebody who is a Christian relationship and emotional intelligence coach, I believe in the importance of stewardship. You have been given a talent, you've been given a gift, and you were not meant to sit on it. Of course, if you don't know, there's this beautiful story about talents in the Bible where a group of servants were given a certain amount to keep. And you saw this case where a lot of them multiplied what was given. And then there was this one person who was like, listen, I was afraid of you. I just bury it and look back at your thing, essentially. And the person's response was, you're lazy. Why would you not take it and make more from it? What are you going to steward that you are sitting on that somebody needs in 2024? And so professionally, skill-wise, talent-wise, what are you going to develop within yourself this year? You're sitting on a beautiful voice. You might be sitting on the skill of administration, but nobody knows this. And so a massive part of 2024 needs to be that you come into your own as somebody who's talented, as somebody who is skilled and has something to offer the world. So is it that you need to, one, figure out what that gifting is? And one of these episodes in this month, we are going to talk about purpose and discovering exactly what that is. What skill do you need to work in 2024 because there's someone waiting on it for you to use and run hard after it? So we know now that resolutions are way more dynamic than we're accustomed to. So keep your other ones, the losing weight, because best believe you're going to stick to it. Keep those, but also add your personal development, add your relationship element, and then lastly, of course, add that professional element, that talent, that gifting that you have that could touch not just yourself, but touch those around you. So I hope this episode was helpful. We're getting into the thick of things. The next 2 episodes are going to be filled with homework. So go back through this video and see the different points and questions that I asked you to answer, and then I want you to run with it. So I am Kelly Theophil, your emotional intelligence coach, and I will catch you next time on Live a Life You Love.